Hi, my name is Ashley Herzog. I am a senior with Liberty University. I am doing a public service announcement video for my Psychology 317 crisis intervention. As you can tell from the background, it's juvenile. I run a small home daycare. My specialization is with early childhood education, and so my day-to-day job is raising little ones. So I have already put in about 11 hours today. When I'm off work, I'm also a full-time mom to 3 children and a full-time student. So this is wrapping up a little over 5 years of schooling. And so I'm going to apologize. It's really late at night and I'm really tired, but I want to get this out there. So I have chosen domestic violence, which is very near and dear to my heart. I am a survivor. I met my first husband when I was 17, and I was pregnant when I was 18, had my first son when I was 19, got married at 19, and was getting a divorce by the time I was 22. My situation was really complicated. I don't think I ever realized until I was truly out of the situation that I was truly affected by domestic violence. So, what exactly is domestic violence? And I'm going to apologize, I have cheat sheets. My kids make fun of me. I'm not very technology savvy. I guess I'm considered old these days. So domestic violence, and my definition, it is dominance and superiority using intimidation to cause fear or harm to another person. Who does it affect? So there's really no one gender or socioeconomic status. This affects both men and women. So, we have to be very careful that we're kind of gender neutral these days when we're talking about it always being a man abusing a woman, because it's not just the stereotypical physical abuse that we think of. There's stalking, and many, many, many women stalk men. But unfortunately, um, it is predominantly a male-initiated form of violence. So when I was doing my studies, one of the things I found very, very disturbing was that until 1864, men could beat their wives as long as the stick he used was no wider than his thumb. This was called the rule of thumb law, and it truly did exist. That's to show you that not that long ago, it was a regular common occurrence for men to have control over their wives and use physical punishment to keep them in line. Various forms of abuse. Well, we have the one that we all know of, physical, and when we think of that, we automatically assume the bruises, the busted lips, broken bones, all the stuff we see on TV. The reality is, it's a lot more discreet than that. Then we think of the sexual abuse, and it's automatic. We're thinking of incest, child molestation, rape, date rape, that sort of thing. And I'm not belittling that in any way, shape, or form. However, the ones that are not talked about the most and that I have personally experienced, I've experienced physical, I've experienced sexual, but I have also experienced these three: emotional, financial, and isolation. And when you are going through the emotional trauma, I'm trying to think of the right ways to describe it. So when you're in a truly abusive situation, your partner is going to use every insecurity that you have, and they're going to use that against you to beat you down and keep you beat down constantly. They're going to have complete control of you financially. Every time that you think you might be in a good position to, let's say, leave or make a plan or whatever it might be, you turn around and look at the checkbook and you don't even have enough for a tank of gas. The isolation. Well, when you're broke, your friends don't stick around. Or let's say you complain about your significant other consistently, but you don't make the change. And they're not professionals. And being someone that's in domestic violence, even someone that's being trained to work with domestic violence, sometimes hearing about it can actually trigger PTSD for other people. So a lot of times the friends that you might have may actually just disappear on you. And before you know it, your social circle is smaller and smaller and smaller. And in my situation, I was young. I was like 21, 22 years old. I had a young child. My mom and stepdad did not want me coming home because they did not want to have to raise another child. And that's how they looked at it. So I had no resources to get out. I finally had made the decision that when I called my mom the very final day and told her I was calling the sheriff's department, I had said, "Are you sure you're not letting me come home because I'm making arrangements with a shelter now?" And at that point, my mom finally told me I could come home. And it was not a walk in the park. I was in a bedroom that was maybe 10 foot by 12 foot, sharing it with my son and his toddler bed, and trying to squeeze all of our clothing and his toys into this teeny tiny room so that I could work a job every day, come home, went straight to the bedroom, just so I could save up enough money to eventually get my own apartment. And it took me about 7 months. And during that time, I had a couple of friends, and that was it. So the support system really wasn't there. And it's really tough because people always want you to have this great support system, and the reality is, I get it, it's not exactly there. But I think there's a lot of time spent on the emotional, or the physical and the sexual abuse, and not enough time spent on the emotional, the financial, and the isolation that victims actually go through. So I already sort of briefly described it. Emotional abuse is when the abuser uses the insecurities and the vulnerabilities to their advantage. They know you. You love them at one time, so they know how to manipulate all of that. Body image. For me, it was body image. It was not going to college and instead choosing to have my son, so I felt like a failure. And because I was already in my early 20s and I hadn't gone to school, I felt like that was not achievable, and I didn't have the financial resources, and I didn't have anyone in my corner to tell me, here's how you sign up for financial aid, and here's what you need to do. And at the same token, with age comes wisdom. The online programs were not available back then the way that they are now. And when you're having your spark plugs pulled to your car so you can't exactly leave to go to school, it does kind of take away from the opportunity to go to college. Fortunately, years later, closer to when I was 30, online education had become more predominant, which gave me that opportunity to finally let myself grow in an educational sense, and I could just expand my horizons and see how much more was out there. But, you get brainwashed. You get used to the insults to undermine your confidence, and you feel like you're just this blob of space, and that you aren't capable of anything without having someone there to take care of you. So it's a lot of factors that will beat down your self-confidence and your self-worth over a really long time. Also talking about isolation. Um, so as a victim, you're embarrassed. You are so embarrassed by your situation. You portray the best face. I used to have people always ask me, "Oh, you're so good at doing your makeup," or this, that, and the other. And I will tell you, I do not have confidence to save my life. I absolutely adore it when people give me compliments, but I am not one of those people that truly believes what is said to me. You want to know how I got so good at doing makeup? Because I used to stay up and cry so much at night, either because of the fights that we were in, um, the different, yes, I guess I can actually say, yes, I was physically abused. I would be pushed. I've been pushed down hallways. I've been pushed downstairs. I've been kicked with steel-toed boots. I have been told how I was going to be murdered and chopped up and how my body was going to be buried in different sections of creeks so that my body temperature couldn't be detected. I have been doused with gasoline. I have been raped. I have, there's more. It'll come to me. I'll probably have a nightmare tonight just because I'm doing this video. Um, so anyway, so some victims isolate themselves from existing resources and support systems because of shame, of bruises, of other injuries, and the abuser's behavior in public or the abuser's treatment of friends and family. And I got this off of the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence website. And I just felt like this was such an affirmation. This could not be more true. Women and men, um, you isolate yourself because you are playing like the best game in the world of a smokescreen. Like you put off the appearance that you have things under control. You don't want people to know that your life is really that bad. You might even be fearful that Child Protective Services could come and take your child away, or I know I was. You just hide everything, and I get it. I totally get it, and I will never place judgment. Um, but like even for my family, I don't think I really went to visit my family that much, and I didn't invite them over that much because I was always having to say, please behave. Please don't say anything. I would beg that of my parents to my husband, more so than I would my husband to them. Because if they said anything to defend me, then that made everything that much worse for me after they left. And it's bad. It's sad. And, you know, there's always questions, why do you stay? Well, here is the amazing battering cycle. And it's funny, before I ever took this class and started to learn the formalities, I already knew this. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So you have the honeymoon phase where your relationship is absolutely perfect and the good outweighs any of the bad you could possibly have. You guys do family events together, you have date night, you just get along, you laugh, you joke, it's great. And then it goes to the next level, which is the tension building. And that's where you start walking on eggshells, people start nitpicking things. It just goes on. And then you have your explosive phase. Well, guess what? It doesn't always have to be physical. I know it says physical and it gets worse over time, which is true. But sometimes it can just be that, hey, in my situation, my spark plugs would get pulled every couple of weeks, or the house phone would get smashed so I couldn't call anybody, or he would clean out the checkbook so I couldn't do anything. Like I literally couldn't afford a gas tank to go 45 minutes away to visit my parents. That sort of stuff. And then one time he got mad and punched the dash to my car in. So for months and months and months, I had to drive around with a dash to my car completely punched out that had like 500 yucky cracks all in it. So it can be that sort of thing. And then there's super, super sorry and apologetic and life is absolutely great for a few weeks and you're back in that honeymoon phase. And then you start thinking you're crazy. Like you just imagined all of this. You're the crazy one. It's not that bad. You shouldn't have fought back verbally, defended yourself. You egged it on. I wish I could grab every single woman and man, and I don't mean that in a patronizing way. I'm trying to teach myself more that it is not just women these days that experience this, that you're not the only one that has gone through this. And I think too, now that I've gotten so far in school, I wish so badly that I could be an advocate and help people learn that there are other possibilities. And it's not easy. I can tell you that right now, because nights like tonight, I'm ready to cry because I just want to go to bed so bad. But we will wrap this up soon. So, change. In 1974, the first battered woman shelter was created in Minnesota. Since then, about 700 shelters have been established in the United States, and I am truly humbled and blessed that I had a small time where I volunteered near where I live in Pennsylvania for the Domestic Violence Center of Chester County. It is an amazing organization that helps women and men who have left violent situations, and they offer counseling services. They have emergency shelters. They have discreet shelters for women that are starting to make it on their own, that have found employment and so forth. And so it's truly humbling to see these organizations working and trying to make a difference and help women. They offer advocates so that people can get through the process of getting PFAs, filing for custody, that sort of thing. So statistically, it is estimated that 1.3 million women and 835,000 men. 835,000 men. See what I was saying? It is not just women are physically assaulted annually. I don't even know what to say to that. So, out of homicide totals, 33% of women and 5.5% of men are victims of past or current domestic partners. And that came from good therapy. So, it's very real. 24 people per minute are victims of either rape, physical violence, or a form of stalking. Now, there's tons and tons and tons of hotlines you can call at any time of the day. You can pretty much get on your phone and you can type in domestic violence, and there's always going to be a hotline that pops up. Here is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It is 800-799-7233. You can call that. You can usually find on your local searches shelters and phone numbers close to where you live that will have, information available. You can talk to someone all the time. In addition to that, the one nice thing is for people who are fearful for their safety or do not want to have things tracked, almost all of these, I think any that I have gone to, whether it's here or Arizona, there is always a notation, like if you click X, their sites do not show up in your browsing history. Now, please do not quote me on that as being, always correct, but they do try to put safeguards there for you. Another thing, too, is a lot of times when these hotlines will answer the phone, they will not say, "Hello, you've reached such and such hotline." It's a basic generic hello, and that's for your safety, because God forbid you ever had someone do star 69 or redial or whatever it is on your phone, this is to protect you so that they don't know that you are attempting to call and get out of your hostile situation. Because usually when you go to leave, and as was my situation, it is usually the most severe and dangerous times for you. The day that I left my situation, I actually had called the sheriff's department and told them that I was attempting to get out of my marriage. I was attempting to leave, and that my husband had just taken my son and driven down the road like a maniac. And at the time, now this was a long time ago, 13 years ago, I was actually told by the dispatcher that they did not, basically they didn't babysit domestic situations. It wasn't until while I was still on the phone with the 911 dispatcher that they heard my ex-husband coming in and yelling and ranting over the phone. And that's when the dispatcher asked me, "Is that your husband?" And I said, "Yes, it is. Do you see why I am scared and I'm trying to ask for help?" And at that time, they did dispatch 2 sheriff's deputies to my house. And when I left, it was a very sad day because I basically left with 2 trash bags of clothes and pretty much never got anything back, because by the time I got things back, it was torn and ripped, and I started over from scratch. So it is a very sad and dangerous time for anyone leaving one of these situations. But I pray that you find peace with your decisions, and I hope that if this helps even one person, then my story wasn't in vain. And hopefully, one day this will be something that isn't a norm anymore. And no matter how much we try to change it, I do hope and pray that one day this is gone and out of our lives. All right. Thank you guys for your time. It's greatly appreciated.